Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park for May for podcast number 960. Gosh, I almost sound like Karun Chandhok there. 962. This is Todd.
No, Todd, not now.
A.K.A. Negative Camber. Tonight, for your kind consideration, well, come on, you know what we do on race weekends.
We watch one, then we talk about it. Then we watch one, then we talk about it. Come on, Todd.
That's exactly what we do. But before doing that, I have to actually find a professional that knows what he's talking about. A professional race car driver. And the sporting manager of the Harder Race and Aston Martin team, IMSA, WC, and everything else.
Rick from outer waste. He's bad. He's beautiful.
He is.
He's crazy.
He is crazy.
Hello, everybody. This is Paul Charles, the International.
Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Season's over. You have lots of time to sit around and watch F1, don't you?
I have some time. I'm going to have some time.
A bit.
Season's over means the next season's about to come around, but I do have a little bit more time. I made pasta this weekend for the first time.
I saw that.
It took me this long to get to that point.
What were you making, like pappardelle? What were you?
Just fettuccine.
Fettuccine. Yeah, I saw that. You got the.
Yeah.
So just so you listeners know, so Paul, way ahead of me, he started getting into cooking and he's a culinary delight, that Paul, and he posted pictures of all this stuff, and his menu eclipses mine. But just recently I started getting into cooking and stuff and got a nice skillet and all that kind of stuff.
Better photos than mine too.
Yeah, so my food isn't better.
Make your food look exquisite.
Yeah, I should have had a food whatever they call that. But anyway, so Paul cooks this wonderful stuff, and so I always post it and I say, it's my meteoric rise to cooking mediocrity. And so Paul and I, we kind of share what we make and everything. And so I was feeling, pretty chuffed. I got a chicken piccata that's great. I got I got a lot of, I do a Belgian stew. I do all kinds of stuff. And so I've, kind of cut my teeth, kind of taking some chances and all that. Then Paul totally ups the game on me this weekend. He says pictures of, he's got the whole pasta, thing to make pasta. He's got his table's all full of flour with 4 or 5 eggs in the center of it. He's kneading it out. I was like, oh my god.
A little flour in my face to make me a
Right. Here, just when I thought I was starting to cook, he's over there making his own pasta from scratch like Mama Charsley used to do back in the old days. It's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, so you one-upped me.
And I'm not really I'm not really that big on pasta actually, but the idea of making it.
Yeah. It's the carbs, isn't it, Paul? Right? It's the carbs.
Yeah.
Italian's probably my favorite. It's just Italian food is just
after a season of racing, you need diversions to do something completely different and just shut off from it.
Right. Well, it's the Mexican Grand Prix. I thought you were going Taco Tuesday, but
we did some of that too. We had a couple of taco nights for sure.
Yeah. That's good. So, Mexican Grand Prix. Hey, Paul, I got to tell you right up front, I enjoyed the hell out of this race. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, it really was. Had a lot of levels to it. Great action, like car to car. Great strategy. Not really knowing what was going to happen until literally the very end, which unfortunately, got kind of neutered a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
It really was coming to a crescendo at the end as well as all the other stuff that's gone before.
Yeah, for sure. And just to clear up my obsession, you remember last week, folks, I was all like on this conspiracy theory about the attendance at the U.S. Grand Prix, and I just thought it was odd that it said sold out. That's all it said. Anyway, having the clarity, the beauty of hindsight, I went back, and just to clarify, they had 430,000 is what they estimated at the U.S. Grand Prix. The Mexican Grand Prix this weekend estimated at 440,000. Now, before you get...
Wow.
Crazy, it's understandable. Mexico City dwarfs Austin in population, so of course you draw more at the. But that's a great turnout, not having Checo there, right?
Yeah. Plus you got more room because you can put all the crowd up to right the edge of the road.
Yeah, right.
Do you remember that from like 1971 Mexican Grand Prix? Literally. There was no barriers, and the people flooded the track. Basically, we're standing right on the edge of the track as the Formula One cars.
It's like a rally race.
There was no VSC that time. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, it's like a rally, standing at the corner on rally, and whoa. So great turnout. Even sans Checo, I thought it was a fantastic support of the Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah.
It's always kind of interesting, this race. I knew going into this, my fantasy picks, I just ignored Ferrari for whatever reason. I know that they typically have done well here. And it's always interesting. We're talking about 7,000 feet, over 2 kilometers, 2,000 or whatever it is. What is that, 1 billion feet? I don't know. But anyway, it's over 7,000 feet in elevation. Now, for those of you that aren't used to that or don't live in those kind of elevations, when you get up 7, 8, 9, all of a sudden oxygen gets pretty thin, gets a little sparse up there, right? Yeah. And the lack of oxygen, the density of the air, those kind of things all change at that altitude, and it's always had an impact on the air performance. I think I was it Ruth I was watching? Maybe she did a great job of previewing. I think she had like 20% reduction in total aero downforce. Don't quote me on that number, but I think that's what she said. But anyway, suffice it to say, it's a big impact, right, on aero because of that density, the heat of the track, cooling of the cars, the brakes take a pounding here. And it may sound odd, but I've always found this, Paul, whenever I go to, much higher elevations than what I'm acclimatized to here in the middle of America, all of a sudden you get dehydrated pretty quick at that elevation. And that's elevation sickness, right? And so staying on top of your hydration, like if I go out to a much higher elevation, I'm drinking a lot of water. So that's always a factor too in those for the drivers and the team personnel and everything at that elevation. So I don't want to overplay the elevation impact, but it does have one.
It does, yeah, and I've done a lot of stuff with elevation in Colorado and all that kind of thing. And the good thing for the drivers and everything is that literally it was a back-to-back race, so they didn't go home. They went straight to Mexico and were able to, at least that's what they should have done. Yeah. Acclimatize themselves so they're not dealing with it. But it can affect you for at least 3 or 4 days in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And till you really get used to it.
Yeah, it really does. And then this weekend probably skipped a compound, but the choice really was always going to be soft medium. It's interesting, when I was reading race reviews from certain teams folks, I was reading that some of them did have tire deg issues, but in general I think the notion was the tire deg wasn't that bad overall. And the wear rates weren't really that bad, although the track temps were high. So the softs were able to extend their stints for those that were on them due to really a lack of graining and very little wear. And that kind of came from Mario at Pirelli directly. So that's kind of what they were saying. I think maybe Pirelli were staying after the race with a mule car provided by Sauber and Mercedes to do some testing on compounds for next year this week. So, yeah. Okay. So there you go, a little Pirelli update for all of you. Anyway, let's jump in. Let's talk about the race and teams, how they finished. We'll start right at the sharp end of the grid, start with McLaren, Grace's team, and talk about that. Lando Norris in P1, Oscar Piastri down in P5. Lando had a good start from pole, despite it being the longest run down to turn 1 on the calendar. He managed to keep everyone behind him going in there, except for Charles, which cut the chicane, ran through the grass, came out ahead of him, seated. We'll talk about that later. But Lando managed to pull out a gap over the field on both stints, really, irrespective if it was medium or soft. Finished 30 seconds ahead of everyone else. He was dominant all weekend, Paul. And the performance was, dare I say, very Verstappen-like, if I'm honest. Complete control of the pace, tires, and the field to take not only the win here, but in doing so took the lead in the Drivers' Championship by a point. So a big weekend. There's still a lot of racing left to go, but the momentum certainly seems to be in Lando's direction in Mexico anyway. Despite all the boos, I'm not quite sure what all the boos were about. Maybe the boos weren't so much boos for Lando, but maybe their favorites are Max or Charles or something like that, and maybe that was it.
Definitely seemed to be Ferrari fans.
For sure. They were definitely Ferrari fans, yeah. So not quite sure what the boos were, but who knows. I
heard it was that they didn't like papaya rules or something to do with something Lando said. I don't know.
Maybe.
Lando seems to be a bit of brush it off pretty easily.
Yeah. But a great weekend for him, Paul. Just a dominant performance.
It was so dominant. I mean, people wrote him off for 4 races ago.
Yeah,
I
right,
think.
right.
I don't think we ever did.
No,
because you can't. Because racing can flip flop, and if you have a DNF, another person can also have the DNF and bring you right back in the game.
Yeah.
But what's really happened here is that Lando's just kind of got the upper hand on Piastri. I mean, it's one thing to win and beat him.
Yeah.
It's one thing to beat everybody by that amount of margin.
Yeah.
And Piastri wasn't second.
Yeah.
Right? Lando's in the car that could dominate the weekend, but Piastri wasn't able to make that happen.
Yeah.
So, Lando's obviously just booming with confidence right now, and that's exactly where you want your momentum to be going into these last few races. So,
yeah.
I mean, kudos to him for turning around. I still definitely don't think it's over. Obviously, it's only 1 point, but that 1 point seeing your name above is just like a psychological boost.
It's an advantage.
And I don't see him losing it now. So I think it's going to be an all-out fight. But Oscar, he's well. You can talk about Oscar.
Yeah, I am. I was wondering if a component, because you mentioned, Paul, and I think it's a good point. So you've got the same cars. Oscar seems to have struggled of late, and we'll get into Oscar in a minute. But I was thinking, is an element of this the fact that the McLaren just does well in clean air, and Lando had nothing but clean air. It was critical that he had the lead at turn 1, whereas we saw Oscar really struggling in that clean air or the dirty air back there. Is that an element at altitude with the lack of downforce or aero performance in aggregate? Yeah. I don't know. But Lando certainly didn't seem to struggle like Oscar did. And is that race specific, or is it just kind of where the struggle that Oscar's going through? Difficult to know.
Yeah, I think there's absolutely an element to that. We know that it doesn't follow so well, although some races we've seen it right in Verstappen's wheel tracks and not give up anything. I was like, see how close he can be for so long. I think I remember Toto screaming about that.
Yeah.
But it's hard to really understand everything that's going on there. But for sure, the McLaren likes to be in clean air, as does any car. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
But Oscar definitely, that's why you need to put it down in qualifying, right?
Yeah.
That's why you can't put yourself back behind those other cars. So it's not really. It's only Oscar's fault.
Yeah.
In qualifying badly and putting himself back there. Obviously, the car and the air, the DRS wasn't as powerful, so it's harder to leapfrog these cars back there as well. So
we talked about it though.
Qualifying.
We talked about it mid-season. We said, this championship could really come down to just Saturday in qualifying.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it still is, right? In different ways, it's affected it.
Yeah. It has.
And absolutely.
Yeah. Oscar had a tougher weekend, no doubt about it. Another P5, that's 2 P5s on the trot, having lost place at the start. I wasn't sure. I wasn't convinced, and Paul and I were texting back and forth, and I was saying, man, I don't know. I don't know about boxing him twice. I think you got to protect that P6 he's running in, protect the points, protect track position. I just wasn't sure. But McLaren, far smarter than I am, they read the tea leaves perfectly, and everybody boxed, and so it made sense. And they boxed him and from P6 and completely secured P5. So kudos to McLaren for being professionals and me not. Because I wasn't convinced, but it worked a treat. The cars around him boxed, including Ollie Bearman, so this really kind of handed the opportunity to him. They read that right. With fresh tires, he wasn't able to catch and pass Ollie, though, which was interesting, who boxed for fresh tires, too. Yeah. Then the virtual safety car came out with 2 laps from the end. That left Oscar in P5, now P2 in the Drivers' Championship. Yeah, what were you going to do? And they read it right, Paul, to box him for fresh softs, and he claimed yet another point and gained points back. So I think from the team perspective, they minimized the damage by doing that, and they read it right.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it could easily have been worse, and obviously they've got their strategists out there. They know what the other teams are probably likely to do. We knew that Leclerc and Norris were way out, so they weren't really going to be a victim even if someone came in for softs, they were still unattainable, nearly, unless you're Max Verstappen. But everyone else was like had to react because they were still too close to the other cars behind with fresh tires to guarantee their spots. So they just had to follow suit. Hopefully they got a clean pit stop and kept their track position, which pretty much everyone did, and carried on.
Yeah.
It's basically a safety rather than a gamble. You don't want to gamble when you're that high up. Right?
Yeah, especially as the lead in the championship. So you got to be careful there. And yeah, like I said, I just think he got trapped in the dirty air and DRS and just struggled.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, as soon as he was released from a car in front of him, he had pace, but he was just driving up to the next car that was in front of him at that point.
Yeah.
So he never really wasn't able. The gap to the Norris was huge.
Yeah.
But half of that probably was to do with being stuck behind other cars.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And so now they head to Brazil. The Ferraris traditionally haven't done that great in Brazil. Could be an opportunity for him to bounce back and get the cat amongst the pigeons at the sharp end. So we'll see. But yeah, difficult for the psyche, Paul. You've struggled the last couple of races. You walk into Mexico and you leave. Bad qualifying. The race isn't a whole lot better. Finish up in P5, you walk out. You're second in the championship now. Momentum seems to have swung to your teammate. You're trying to fend off at this point Max Verstappen as well as try to reclaim the lead. So very difficult just in the head. It's just a very difficult situation to be managing. So tough.
Yeah, Mark Webber's going to be have his work cut out for him to bringing him up to that level.
Yeah.
Interesting though between the McLaren cars that the lead engineer was asking Norris for information to help Oscar.
Yeah.
And why would you ask that question and why would you answer it correctly?
Yeah.
If I was Norris, I'm not. I'm going to say, hards for sure.
Yeah, right.
I don't.
Definitely go for the hards. I think we really screwed up.
See, one right rear hard, one left front soft.
Just keep him out.
That's going to nail it. He's going to catch me up and pass me.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, he's got because they've won the constructors. Right. The only reason to help Oscar is to allow him to be closer in the championship or the championship lead. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Norris seemed to answer it okay, but I don't know why they're asking these questions.
I don't know why would you. If I was Lando, goes, I don't really know. I'm trying to run my own race here. Get a calculator, figure it out, or an abacus. I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah. Ask Albon. He'll answer politely.
Ask GP at Red Bull. He's not sure if they're double stopping or not. So ask him. So anyway, let's move to Ferrari. Charles Leclerc P2, Lewis Hamilton P8. Let's start with Charles. Charles got a good start, ran wide like Max at turn 1, ran through the grass, back on the track, left him in the lead, but he quickly ceded that place back to Lando. But he did close the door pretty stoutly on his own teammate, Lewis. So he wasn't about to let Lewis
even down into turn 1. He did.
Yeah. So that little battle between them has been kind of fun to watch. Charles then set about driving. Really, at that point, to be fair, Charles had a really good race. It managed those tires all the way to the end. On old mediums. Thankfully, the virtual safety car came out. I think it most likely saved P2 for him because I think Max was all over him like a cheap suit. And I think had that VSC come out, I think maybe Max would have got him. But, as Max said, hey, sometimes you benefit from the safety car, sometimes you don't. And it is what it is. But so a good race for Charles in P2. A big points haul with him in P2 and Lewis in the points moves them ahead of Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship for P2 and the Constructors. So, as we always say, that's worth tens of millions of dollars. So it's a good race weekend for Charles.
Yeah, no, very didn't make a mistake. Best of the rest for sure, and way better than the rest, except for Max.
Yeah,
who's always the exception to everything. But it was good to see the Ferraris being able to fight that far up on the sharp end. It was fun. the cutting the corner thing, I guess we can talk about it now. I don't know.
Yeah, let's talk. Yeah, we'll jump into it. It really involves Max and Lewis and Ferrari and a host of other people. But
right, and everybody.
Yeah, the reality of it is, let's just unpack the turn one thing. You went into turn one. You had Max running wide. You had Charlotte running wide. Lewis stayed on. You had even Carlos, running just cutting the chicane and didn't look or whatever. Hit Liam Lawson, took Liam out of the race, effectively ended Carlos' race. You had a lot going on that, and then on lap 6, we'll talk about when we get to Lewis. We'll save that Max Lewis thing when we review Lewis. But let's talk about turn one. How'd you see that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was 4 wide. Max, was, it wasn't like I don't think he was trying to absolutely. He was going to cut the corner from the time he dropped it into first gear, but he was making a big move on the outside, and it was 4 wide. He got on the bumps, so he literally had to go off there. But I don't think it's any of the drivers' fault, really. It's the nature of the circuit layout, right? I mean, it's the nature of racing nowadays that we've got so much runoff that. What do you do with this runoff? What is an unfair advantage? What should you be allowed to do? What should you have to give up? I mean, the chaos at the first turn was indeed chaos. Yeah. So for them to pick apart each individual driver's issue, I think was hard. And I still think you just can't make those runoff areas. You have to make it more of a detriment when you go off.
Yeah. Let me jump.
To eliminate some of that stuff.
Let me read you this quote. Let me jump up to Mercedes real quick. I'm not going to review Mercedes, but let me read you George Russell's quote, which I thought was an interesting quote about the incident. Because he was frustrated for a host of reasons. He said, quote, "That was a frustrating afternoon. After the start, 3 drivers cut over the grass at turn 1 and either kept or gained position without penalty. I stayed on the track but lost out, unfortunately. That also happened with Lewis and Max when they were battling. When the Red Bull came back on track, I had to take avoiding action, go off track, lost several positions myself. Those 2 moments were ultimately the undoing of our race." Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, it's all these things are true.
Yeah.
It's I don't know what to do about it. But the only thing to do, as I said, is to make a massive detriment when you go off that you really, because I mean, when I was racing, you went off, you hit something usually, right? So, but it wasn't like you were hitting something there all the time. You arrested your speed, so you didn't make moves that would cause you to hit something. Yeah. It's like, well, that's not on. That's too risky. Nowadays, with all the runoff, it's not that risky a move. It's like, well, I either go off and cut across the grass, or this deal works. But either way, I'm going to be okay coming into turn 2. And I do feel for the people that stayed on. It definitely shouldn't be a detriment to their race to actually drive by the rules and stay between the lines.
In the case of Max, Paul,
it should be a detriment in time. Yeah. Even if it's not a detriment in safety. Yeah. You can't just hold station to where you were. You definitely shouldn't obviously get an advantage in either making a pass or pulling out an advantage time-wise. Yeah. But maybe there's if you go off, you have to stop and then go. Kind of like the chicane at Daytona and Watkins Glen, where literally if you overshot the corner, you literally had to stop and then you had to go. Yeah. That's the only way to get around these things.
Yeah. In the case of Max, I know we're going to review Lewis here in a minute, I promise. But in the case of Max, he had already passed George. Yeah. And he had that pass was on. He passed him, and it was done and dusted. Then he went into the turn 4 wide, got pressed wide, bailed out of the corner, went across all the grass. When he came back on, he didn't, he didn't gun up and pass Lewis and Charles or anything like that. He slotted back in ahead of George. But that pass was already on before he got to that corner, right? So I know George is
but
frustrated.
maybe he wouldn't
but...
have made that move.
Yeah.
If there was
to
a,
your
if
point.
there was a,
yeah.
if there was an Armco barrier at the end of that braking zone, would you have gone 4 wide?
Yeah,
No.
probably. Yeah, right.
So,
Right.
So your options are more open.
And then there's this traditional notion, well, it's kind of a lap one incident, and so the stewards have a lot more. I guess the implied logic here is that the stewards have a little more lenience on lap one.
Yeah.
Should they?
No.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, the hustle and bustle, little contact here and there, yes.
Yeah.
But cutting the corner or going off and coming on and not losing any time.
Right.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Because I think it's just opens everyone up to just kind of throw a Hail Mary at turn one because there's nothing really that's going to hurt them.
Right. Yeah, it's a good point. Let us know what you guys think. Leave a comment in the comment section of whichever platform you listen or watch this on. But yeah, I found it kind of an interesting thing too. I felt like, not to be a George sycophant, but I kind of felt like it's a pretty accurate statement, to be honest with you. On the flip side of it, I kind of felt like he was telling the truth when he was telling the team, hey, swap positions. I got a lot more. And they're like, yeah, we're thinking about it. Yeah, we'll get back to you. The infamous, we'll get back to you, sort of thing.
Man, that was
and they cooked 2 laps. They should have done that 3 or 4 laps earlier. But anyway, I felt like George was right.
He was.
Yeah, so let's talk about Lewis. I don't want to give him short shrift because I think Lewis had a good weekend going. Looked a lot more positive in this car. Looked a little more planted, a little more at ease with the car. Had some good pace in qualifying. Qualified well. It was a tough day during the race. He had a good start. Kept it on the island, unlike others. But Charles and Max came back on track, and Charles slammed the door on him pretty quickly. And then Max was harassing Lewis. For the next few laps. Unfortunately, Max, I think it was on lap 6 maybe, but Lewis failed to use the safety road to re-enter the track, and he got a 10-second penalty for his efforts, which in my mind, they both went off at the turn on lap 6 as they were challenging each other, and Max was quicker, but they both went off. Lewis started down the safety, then cut over the grass to come back sharper, back on track. And that's what he got the penalty for. Kind of, I figure Lewis is probably thinking, well, if you can just cut through the grass like everybody did at turn 1, I'll just cut through the grass here and come back on. I don't know what his thinking was by not staying on the safety road to re-enter the track, but they gave him a 10-second penalty, which... I don't know. At the time, I was like, that seems kind of harsh. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at how no one else got one, mate, it does look a bit harsh.
Yeah.
But the incident, he went off on his own. Max did go off too, but they didn't go off together.
Yeah, that's right.
If Lewis had slowed down more, Max still would have got off, and Lewis didn't have to.
Yeah.
But they were trying to fight for the last at the last breaking point, right? So, but because he braked so late, he couldn't slow down enough to get back on that road. I think there were 2 questions there. One, gaining an advantage. The other was not abiding by the race director's rules, which was staying on the pathway. They threw the pathway one out, I believe, and they just got him getting an advantage. Now it was swayed a little bit because there was a whole big mess going on in that chicane on the exit. So there, Russell was there.
Yeah.
They were all,
Yep.
And so basically they come out of that corner slow, and they all lost time in that melee.
Yeah.
And Lewis, so Lewis's cutting the corner looked even worse.
It did,
because he gained that big.
Yeah.
But what Lewis didn't do right was he should have just backed way off.
Yeah.
I mean, when he should have just backed it up to where those people were.
Yeah.
Because he went into that left-hander behind Max and behind Russell. He came out ahead of all of them.
Yeah, right. Right.
I mean, that's a bit of an advantage.
It was.
So,
I just
even
felt
though
like,
those guys.
I just felt like 10 seconds was pretty heavy-handed, though.
Yeah, maybe so.
I was like maybe a 5-second penalty or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that would have been fine with me too.
Yeah.
But he definitely made passes while cutting the course, whereas as you're rightly saying, like Max kind of slotted in where he originally was. Whether that should be allowed is my question.
Oh, right, right.
I still think if you go off, you should lose a position. You shouldn't gain or hold station. So.
Yeah, maybe that's an easy way to fix it. If you go off track, you cut a chicane, you go over the grass or whatever, you should cede a position.
Yeah, you should see the position. Yeah, or go MotoGP style and say, hey, you have to
do
take
the
this
penalty
slip
lap,
road.
Right?
Do the penalty lap. Yeah.
Make one of the safety
loop.
one of the safety roads as the penalty lap. That would be a quick solution. It was reported during the race. I don't know. I didn't see, but it was reported during the race that maybe Lewis had floor damage, and I didn't see anything in their post-race report. But it would kind of comport, as he really seemed to struggle to make up ground. But Lewis did say that the mediums just weren't good on the car, and he wasn't comfortable with them. So anyway. That was Ferrari. Let's talk about Red Bull. Max Verstappen P3, Yuki Tsunoda, a robust P11, Paul.
Really?
Max,
just a bust.
Yeah, robust. Max had a good start despite being on mediums, and I thought that was pretty critical, given where he started from on mediums and people around him were on soft. So a really good job getting that start. Went into turn 1, 4 wide. He'd already made his pass on Russell, so when he went wide on the grass, he ceded the position to Lewis and made sure he didn't come out ahead of Lewis, but he stayed ahead of Russell. Max made the move on Lewis. Both ran wide, with Lewis getting a penalty. And when he boxed, Max was running third. When Max boxed for softs, he actually clawed his way back up onto the podium, missed out on P2 with the virtual safety car. Okay, so he was P3, but I really kind of feel like he was kind of on Red Bulls were kind of on their back foot here, not doing real well. So to claw out a podium from where he started, I thought was a pretty damn good drive.
I think it was an awesome drive, and it was a great strategy for them to throw it out. But they've got nothing left to lose. They just need wins. They want wins, and they're not trying to consolidate anything. And Max, once again, is the guy you would want to choose to execute that plan. He did it amazingly well. When you compare it to what Yuki ended up doing in the same strategy in the same car. Right? Max made great gains, and we thought he was floundering there for a little bit on those mediums, but then go to find the medium was a floundering kind of tire at that point in its life, and so that really aided Max when he got on those softs and was able to take care of them and then start pushing and really get on the back wing of Charles.
Yeah, and kudos to the team. I think they made the call when to box right. They ran those mediums for. I was thinking, boy, should they box? Should they box? And I don't know. They ran it. They ran the strategy to perfection. I kind of feel like.
Yeah, just a little long enough to be uncomfortable. Yeah, but then it paid off because he had a better tire for that little.
Yeah. He ran just long enough, maybe right on the edge, and so kind of feel like they executed perfectly. And you'd expect that from Red Bull. They're pros down there. They know what they're doing. Yuki, you mentioned same strategy as Matt. Couldn't make it work as well though. He was running in the points, but dropped out during his stop, and he had a long stop, so that hurt their strategy. Okay. On the fresh tires, he was able to pass Hadjar, but made very little progress from there. So he said there was a real opportunity to score good points at the team, but we unfortunately with a long pit stop, which disrupted.
How long was the stop?
I didn't see the timing. I didn't see the timing. I just know he said it was a longer stop, and that kind of hurt him.
Yeah, of course, when you're fighting in the midfield, you lose 3 seconds.
Yeah, right.
4 positions.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, in the midfield, it's so tight there. Max said as soon as he was on the soft tire, it felt a lot better, a lot more competitive. We did a perfect strategy, really optimized the final stint, and I was enjoying it. At the end of the virtual safety car, it was unfortunate timing, but sometimes it works for you, sometimes it doesn't. That's just racing, but it would have been an exciting finish had it not come out. So.
It sure would have.
Yeah.
That was quite a deflator.
Yeah, it was. After such a great race and all the strategy and the ups and downs and the real time switch to 2 stoppers, it was interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, we can obviously we're all mad that we didn't get to see that finale between 2 battles going on. Actually. But it's a tough call. It looked like Carlos had put the car far enough away where it could just be a yellow flag.
Yep.
The old days.
A local
a
yellow
flag, and everyone kept going.
Yep.
I heard later there might have been smoke or fire or something, which is a given for throwing the VSC, and rightfully so, as we found out in the Jules Bianchi case. Right.
Yep.
You can't give up premier safety for just seeing the race play out.
Yeah.
So I'm as upset as anybody. But if there was a real issue there, then that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I suppose. But yeah, we definitely. It's really easy to just say, well, it's just one more lap.
Yeah.
If something goes bad, then who's going to pay the price, right?
Right.
We don't know.
Yeah,
so, I didn't see if there was smoke, if it was like a whisper, if it was a brake smoke, and where they could have figured it out. Carlos should have parked the car in a different place for sure. But
well, he spun, tapped the wall, then he pulled forward, and he pulled into behind the wall,
nearly in,
almost.
Nearly in,
he just left kind of the back end. I was like, "There's plenty of room. Just go another 3-4 feet."
Keep going.
Yeah,
you can do it, little camper.
Come on, Carlos. Know. Yeah,
and it's and that stuff's annoying.
Yeah,
because we have it in IMSA also, where you got the orange overlaps,
right?
But no one. And sometimes a car may be good enough to pull into that overlap, but sometimes it seems in Formula One the overlaps are never achievable for a car to actually drive behind it and keep out the way. It's just, I feel like they need to rethink these things and try and make it so that if a car is still moving, it can actually get into that space and keep the race rolling, rather than just stop near it, right? Which is better than nothing, but
right.
I feel like the orange overlaps, is an opportunity there to keep a race rolling if everyone plays right.
The old slow zone.
The design of the orange overlap is correct. Yeah, a slow zone, right? It's an FIA usable device. They use it in Le Mans.
Yep.
If you pulled up a sector, let's just say the 3 sectors of an F1 race, each sector is a slow zone area. They're going past the incident at the same speed they would if it was a VSC, but they can still race the rest of the track.
Right.
So that's definitely worth a look at.
Yeah, they do it, and the FIA does it, and WEC,
the FIA does it.
Yeah, so I don't know why they don't. That would make sense. Next we go to Haas. What a great story this is. Esteban Ocon in the points in P9. Ollie Bearman, best finish of his F1 career in P4. Let's start with Esteban, though. Avoided all that scrum at turn 1. That was good. Managed to bring home points in P9. It's his first top 10 finish since Zandvoort. He said it was really just kind of a case of wrong place, wrong time for quali, and that kind of put him on his back foot. During the race, he did manage to make it to a 2-car points finish and points haul for the team, which is great. I think he just felt like, he's on the back foot with quali, and clawing up to P9 given was probably the best he could do, and I probably agree with him.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yep.
He hasn't shown so much recently.
Yep.
But I think, any other day, if it wasn't for what Bearman had done, it would have been a
good finish.
Fantastic run for him.
Agreed.
Right? And I think from where he did qualify, I think it was a very strong run, considering some other people had a lot harder time getting around people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, but the shining star certainly was Ollie Bearman. What a great race! He started 9th, was up to 6th with a fantastic start. Paul made a good move on Max, and I get it. Max wasn't having fun on the mediums, but he moved into 4th. He rocked up behind Max and put a move on Max, and that's not easy, no matter how bad Max's tires are. So it looked like, with little luck, there was a possibility he was heading to a podium, right? And
it looked like it.
For a little bit, it looked like he might, a podium was on. But the team didn't get, ridiculous here. Very measured, like Oscar. I wasn't sure boxing him was going to really pay off, but they made the call. Max on fresh softs, he was always going to be facing the reality of finishing P4 at that point, right? So the team didn't overreact, and didn't get all excited about it. They consolidated P4. That's exactly what they raced to. A terrific strategy, great pit stops by the team, and a great result in P4. Couldn't be more excited. It was really touching. It was really sweet. He was in the interview pen being interviewed, and outside of the pen was his parents and girlfriend, and they're all in tears, so he got all emotional while he was doing an interview. It was really, just they were.
I mean, how old is Bearman?
What is he?
The teenager.
Yeah,
still,
19,
right,
20. Yeah. Young man. So, his family's all got tears of joy. He was swept up in it. It's a very touching moment for him, but a great result. He said this. He said, "quote it's a feel-good moment also to go side by side with Max Verstappen. It was a very cool feeling. He's someone I've grown up watching in Formula One. I'm so proud of this team. We finished P4 on merit. We may have got some luck to get there, but it was our speed that kept us there." And I think that's exactly right. This is a really mature drive. I think team boss Io Komatsu said, he's maturing. He's coming around. We're having some great coaching moments to pick his fights and to really develop and I would say in aggregate, Paul, we've commented in the past, that there are some rookie mistakes. You would expect it, but you can see his racecraft progressing over the balance of the year, just very much like you can with Gabby, right? You can kind of see that progression, and it's great to see from Ollie. It really is.
It is, and they did earn it on merit, which is very, very important. They did luck into it. It wasn't a VSC.
Wasn't attrition.
Pit stop.
Yeah.
He basically charged through in the first turn and got out of there clean and just kept the pace up. And he lived with a lot of pressure.
Yes.
There was a lot of people behind him that wanted that spot.
Yeah.
And I was saying to you, I said, well, now we're going to see if Ollie knows how to manage the power outputs with the ERS and all that kind of stuff, because that's something that you have to get your head around, and it's all part of the racecraft in cars these days.
Yeah.
And the pressure on the pit stop was massive, right? Ollie and Kimi pitted at the same time, and the Haas team didn't fumble. It would have been very easy to fumble that, and it would have been easy for him to make a little mistake here or there. But he was keeping the gap, tenths of a second, wasn't making big mistakes. The pace of the car was good, so that was backing him up. So all round, just a feel-good story for everyone on the team, not just for Ollie, but for the people putting the car together, and the pit stop team as well. Yeah.
But you bring up a great point. It wasn't like he was, poking around and swapping places and having a ding-dong with Lance Stroll at the back of the pack. He was being hounded by a brace of Mercedes the whole race.
Yeah, exactly.
Not, if it wasn't Russell, it was Antonelli. If it wasn't Antonelli, it was Russell. I mean, he was being hounded the whole race by very fast cars, and in the hands of George Russell, a very, very capable driver, right? George is no slouch. Right. So, he didn't crack under that pressure. And, I couldn't be happier for him. It's just a great race for Ollie. And I think those got to be, Paul, I'm not a professional driver, but, I'm sure when you were in your formative years, those kind of things like that, they've got to be such mental boost for a young driver like that. In his mindset.
Yeah, and for the team. It's one thing, you got a rookie guy, he's going to make mistakes and this and that, but it's like, okay, we can maybe start building this team around this guy, because if we give him a decent car, he's gonna run it up there. So let's go, right? So it just builds everyone's confidence, and for sure his. He seems pretty confident. I can't figure out his accent though. He's got a weird accent. I don't know where he's from.
That's from one brick to another.
Like he's from England. Yeah, I'm like, where are you from?
Yeah, wait, oi!
It's very strange.
You're not from Kent.
Definitely not from Kent. I don't know where.
That's what people.
Anyway, I was doing
that's what people say about you, Paul, because you've been in America so long that
Right.
We've ruined your accent.
Right. Oh, it's well, I don't even know what it is nowadays, but yeah. Me and Ollie will have to figure it out.
Right. That's so funny. Well, good on you, and kudos to the team. Great job by the team all weekend long, Just fantastic. Couldn't be happier for Haas. Let's talk about Mercedes. You had George Russell, P7, Kimi Antonelli in P6. George lost a spot to Max at the start and later ran wide, losing a spot to Kimi. And then the two Mercs spent most of the day battling each other, if I'm honest. But as I said earlier, I think George made a very good case as to why the team should swap position. He was clearly quicker at the moment, and they eventually did swap with George. George made the deal. He said, look, I'll give the place back if I don't get past Ollie, which, he didn't. He didn't get around it, but I think the team was probably 3 or 4 laps too late. They waited too long to make that call. When Piastri made his way and decided through the two Mercs, then the teams eventually swapped the cars back, leaving George at P7. I can be honest with you, if I was the team, I wouldn't have swapped him back. George is leading in the driver's constructor. He mathematically has a chance for the driver's championship, and I don't know that I would have swapped him back. But, he made a compelling case, and I think he was right, Paul.
I think he was right. And I think it's right to say if you wait 3 laps, then the glean is off his tires. I mean, they were even telling him, okay, you've overheated your tires.
Overheating your brakes.
Remember when Lando at the last race where he had to hang back, took him several laps to get all the temperatures evened out where the tires came back to life. Well, George didn't get that chance.
That's right.
To do that because he was stuck behind there. I mean, they let him by, but then basically at that point he needed to back up and cool his tires down, cool his jets, so to speak, and then to be able to get the car to come to life, and he just was never able to. So that's why he was never able to make any hay. And we've seen it before from other teams where they ponder for way too long. They need to come up with this solution before you get to the point where he's on his back bumper, right? You need to say, okay, well, George is coming on Kimi. Let's just, as soon as he gets here, let's just swap positions, just let him go, right? If he's made that gain, let him go, and we can have these decisions on letting people back by or have that decision before the race. I mean, obviously George was politicking for that move.
He shouldn't have had to. That's my point.
No, he shouldn't have had. He shouldn't have had to. Yeah. But I don't think the team can then change what the deal was at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I get it.
I understand what you're saying. That on paper, that's probably he does stand a chance, but he doesn't really. But but we all know Antonelli is the golden child as well. As I was saying to you, I think Susie's like shouting in Toto's ear, "Tell him to let him by." But at the end of the race, but,
let her baby boy through.
Let the baby boy through. But so I think that had to happen. But the team needs to work as a team, and they need to foresee these happening and have the plan before we get there, rather than just DRS throws it all off. Dirty Air throws it all off as to what can be achieved once you come up behind something.
Yeah, I know.
So just make that plan, right?
Yeah, if you got George,
they probably lost out in 4th place because they made that decision.
I kind of feel like that. I feel like, you got George coming at Kimi at a rate of knots, clearly quicker. Don't just park him back there, let him chew up his tires and brakes, overheat everything, and then make the decision, and he goes around. I think it's a big ask for George, If he's coming up so strong on him, he's clearly quicker, then it just be real quick. Hey, Kimi, we're going to swap positions. George is quicker. We're going to let him go by. If he doesn't get by Ollie, we'll move you back. But he's clearly got pace. We don't want to cook his tires or brakes. Let him through, and make the move. The team, he shouldn't have to lobby the team to make the call. The team should automatically see that.
It was definitely uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah, it was. Kimi, well, this is great. I'll read Kimi's quote. Let's talk about his race first. Tough race, losing a position at turn 1. It did seem that the dirty air was a real hindrance to he and George both. They really struggled in that dirty year. Kimi swapped with George. Neither could make much progress from there. They were stuck in a DRS train and weren't quite fast enough to pass, really. The result means Ferrari moves ahead of Mercedes constructors, and even more reason they probably shouldn't have waited. I did like this quote from Kimi, though, from the 19-year-old, who has the confidence and feels like the team's behind him to make a comment like this, but he said, quote, "We opted to invert the cars in our second stint. We were we were in a train behind Bearman, and the tire degradation was getting worse due to that. We'll review whether that was the best decision or not. Will we? You think? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like, I'll have Toto call George on that one. So that was pretty funny. But anyway,
Yeah.
it is what it is.
I mean, they're like similar pace.
Yeah, they were. They were thereabouts. I just think George was quicker and may have, like you said, it may have cost him a more realistic chance at P4 than it did. Yeah,
Right.
agreed. Let's talk about your friends down at Kick Sauber, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
Gabriel Bortoletto in P10, Nico Hulkenberg DNF. Gabby had an interesting race on the same strategy as Max, and he managed his mediums for a long first stint. So once he got on the softs, he was able to claw back some pace and clawed his way back into P10 for a point, passing Hajar in the process, his first point since Monza. Look, I know it's P10. This track is not it didn't flatter Sauber any stretch of the imagination. He started down in P16, so to be honest with you, is not a bad recovery drive for a point for Gabby. I thought he did well.
Right. No, it is. It is. I thought they were. Didn't Hulkenberg had a pretty decent qualifying?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but it didn't seem like he was particularly going to have a great race. But yeah, and he was nowhere till the pit stop.
Right.
And following that strategy. So yeah, once again, he's not waning in his showing his abilities at all.
Yeah, no doubt. For Nico, he had a power unit issue prior to the race, and then when the race actually started, the PU issue immediately revealed itself, and they returned it back as a DNF. He had good pace, all things given, but it just wasn't there. He said, quote, "It's obviously a very tough one to take today. We had power issues right from the formation lap, which basically ended our race before it started." Gabby said he had a strong start, made some good overtakes on the track, managed the tires well throughout the race, which was solid and well executed. So I would agree with that. Let's talk about Williams. Alex Albon, P12. A little chippy on the radio was our young friend Alex.
Just a
little frustrated. Carlos at DNF. We'll start with Alex. Alex started on the hard. Oh, boy.
Yikes.
The team even...
Come on, James.
I know.
Let's
Come
make
on,
a better
man.
call than that.
Yeah, and even James admitted after the race, well, look, is totally the wrong strategy. They also admitted to not getting his performance optimized and not communicating with him well enough. I mean, James is just like, all right, look, that's all on us, Alex. That was us. Our bad, right? Yeah. Alex said they missed out on the opportunity to be more dynamic in the midfield, and he said that the data shows where he's struggling with the car, and he's not sure why they can't correct it yet. A little chippy down there.
Yeah, I was trying to understand why he was getting so frustrated, because they asked him a question, but he answered something different.
Yeah.
And then
didn't he say, "I don't know. Ask the other team."
Yeah, ask Carlos.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm on softs. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, I don't know. It's just very odd.
And he gets that from time to time.
He does.
Doesn't he? Yeah.
He does. But I've said this in other podcasts. I think Alex has incredible race vision. I do. I think he sees what's going on, and I think he reads the race really well. I think he gets frustrated out there because of what he's perceiving is going on. I think he, Max, other drivers like that, they just have this sort of overall race vision going on. And other drivers don't. They're just, they see their race and what's going on and who's ahead of them, who's behind them. But other drivers see the entirety of it. They have that capacity. And I think Alex is one of them. And I think that's why he gets frustrated. So anyway, Carlos had a clash with Lawson at the start, did damage to the wheel rim and the speed sensor on the wheel rim. That's why. That's why. Yeah. So the speed sensor made the pit limiter not work because the speed sensor was broken and it kept jumping over the speed limit, and that's why he got 2 penalties for speeding the pit lane.
And it kept compounding itself because he kept getting drive-through penalties for
right.
And then he got another driver.
Yeah.
They should have just parked the car.
Yeah. So, despite all that,
instead of on the track,
he was still battling for a point, though. And then he spun in the stadium section, parked it up, but couldn't see. I didn't see initially where, and I kept looking as they would go through. Where is the car? I don't know, what's the virtual safety car? Yeah. Then I saw the onboards, and he actually pulled in almost 100%, left the tail end out, so don't know what happened there. He said turn one was a melee of cars, and I had contact with the V-carb, which damaged the rim of my tire, causing big vibrations of the first stent, and also damage to the front tire sensor, meaning the pit limiter didn't work, end quote. Liam has a little bit different take of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting that is that the only speed sense? They've got to have sensors on each wheel.
I'm sure they do on both. Yeah.
Obviously, you're going to have to look at the electronics and figure out if one's off, you should be able to go to, or at least switch to rear sensors or something.
Yeah,
like
I'm not sure.
Turning at the same speed.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Does it default or was it just like intermittent, or was it slightly? Did it have a? Yeah, who knows? But that's a weird deal. Well, let's talk about what Liam had to say about Carlos. He was a DNF, and then Isaac Hadjar was in P13. Liam felt he left plenty of space at turn 1, but Carlos decided to cut the chicane without looking left, drove into Liam, damaging his car and forcing a retirement. Here's what he said, Paul, quote, "A lot of drivers are sliding, and I left plenty of space next to Carlos, but then he decided to cut the chicane without looking left. This meant he drove into the side of me, and unfortunately it destroyed the side of my car, meaning we had to retire." Yeah. It's one of those Carlos unforced error things I was talking about.
Right. Yeah, yeah. It's another one, right?
Yeah.
He's had a couple with Liam.
Yeah.
Particularly, actually.
Yeah, yes. As is Lando.
Yeah.
So, that was the end of his day. Well, for Isaac, he lost a few places at the start, ran a long first stint on mediums. They only had used softs, and his pace seemed to really fade on that second stint. He couldn't hold off Bortoletta, Sonoda, or Albon, so he's kind of a sitting duck there.
Yeah, I thought he was looking pretty good there for a while, but definitely the second half just kept going backwards.
Yeah, no doubt. He said they had a good strategy overall. He said we only had used soft tires, and that didn't help us make the difference when some guys further back were gaining time, driving faster on new compounds than they had used. So that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's a team problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. You work from the race backwards. You don't compromise your race to get another running quality or whatever.
Yeah.
So you got to figure that out. So.
Come on, Alan Permain. You've been around long enough. You know that.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah, come on.
Aston Martin, Fernando Alonso, a DNF, Lance Stroll, a P12. Fernando retired the car with brake issues, and Lance had an incident at the start that dropped him down the order, and he ran at the mid to back of the pack for most of the day. But here's what I want to read you, Paul.
Okay.
I texted you when he pulled off and parked the car, and I texted you, is this another one of those mysterious issues with the car that Lando seems to come up with because he doesn't want to drive the rest of the race down in P16? So I was, tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but we've seen this. When Fernando loses interest in the race, he's done. And we say that, there's something wrong with the car, something's doing something, and he just pulls in and parks the car, he's done, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
I was hoping that wasn't it, but then I read the comment after the race. It said this, quote, "It's a difficult race for me, but we've struggled for pace all weekend. We had a good start, but then there was some contact which caused minor damage to the front wing. I was also surprised to see a few cars cutting the corner at the start, jumping ahead of us and not getting penalties. Unfortunately, about halfway through the race, we had to retire the car as a precaution. Hopefully we can have more luck in the future." He did lose interest and parked it. It was a precaution. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's not usually one to give up, but
I
I
know.
think the season it's got to wear thin.
It does.
So many races.
It does.
And you're not going to come up with some great update now
Right.
because he's already told him to give up on this season.
Right.
So maybe he is too. But
Right. Yeah. So there you go. Alpine at the back, Paul. Oof is right. Pierre Gasly P15, Franco Colapinto P16. Franco didn't ignore team orders this weekend. Not that there were any, but Pierre started on mediums.
Gasly was ecstatic with his 50.
Yes, he was. He started on mediums, couldn't make much of the softs in the second stint. So even though he was on that magic Max Verstappen strategy of medium soft, did nothing. Pierre said they stopped early though for the softs, and then he had a lot of degradation on his softs. So he said after a decent start, we fell back to where we started and began managing the medium tire. We decided to stop quite early for the soft and had a lot of degradation, which meant a very long and challenging second stint. So that was his problem. Franco had a T1 clash, then got stuck on his teammate's tail for most of the race. Started on the hards, so that was his issue. Switched to softs and didn't make up really much at the back.
So it doesn't seem like whatever tire you put on the Alpine is still going to be
Yeah. Franco said other than the promising pace we showed in the last stint on the soft tires with lower fuel, it was a long and lonely afternoon for us. We went long on the hards to start, aiming to capitalize on any potential opportunities, and we lacked a bit of pace to really stay in that mix.
Yeah.
There you go, Paul.
I agree.
I agree with him. All right, let's give out some awards because that's what we do. First award we tend to give out. We like to call Move of the Race. Yeah, why not? It seems good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Move of the Race. Paul, who'd you have for Move of the Race?
Well, I've got the Red Bull medium to soft execution.
Yes,
You know,
it
not
was.
everyone made it work to the degree Max did.
Well,
but
Pierre
Max
certainly
did.
didn't.
And yeah, so I mean, they went off strategy to what everyone else did, and in the end, it was a great.
It was a great strategy.
Yeah,
Incredibly well executed, I might add, by both team and Max.
should have been P2 pretty much.
Yeah.
But
I'm giving it to McLaren and Haas for reading the strategy perfectly and boxing a second time. I wasn't sure it was going to work, and I thought they should just consolidate Ollie's position, but it moved Ollie up to in P5, right, and Oscar up into P4. It consolidated Ollie's P4, I should say, and moved Oscar up to P5. Good strategy, real-time race read. I just, I wasn't sure, but it was a great move. They minimized the damage. They for Oscar, and in Haas's case, they absolutely consolidated P4 in doing so. So, and a great pit stop to keep him out of the harm's way from the Mercs. So it was a great job by them.
yeah, it was.
Yeah. Let's see. Next award is Donkey of the Race.
Seriously, Todd?
Yes.
Stop yelling at Todd.
We'll do it live!
Yes. Donkey of the Race. Who'd you have, Paul?
I'm gonna give it to the end of race VSC.
Yep.
And not just because I think it was a wrong call or a right call, really. It just kind of nullified what would have been a fantastic end to the race. And
Yeah.
I said if there was an issue there that absolutely needed and quantified the VSC, I don't want to go against that because we've seen people go against those kind of things for the sake of keeping the racing going. It can really be a bad situation.
Yeah.
But overall, let's try and make those orange overlaps. Don't park that truck there so that Carlos can't get in.
Right.
But definitely let's tuck those orange overlaps so we can actually use them to get the car off the track rather than just near to get off the track.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so it was just a shame.
I agree. And I had that, the VSC as well. And I also had the near miss with the Marshals who were literally on track and Liam.
Maybe even more so,
Yeah.
right? On the other end of
Yeah.
it, right? It's
Yeah.
I think there was a miscommunication there for sure. I know they had planned just to have those marshals go on when all the cars went past because that would give them a minute, which is great. But because Lawson pitted that threw everything off, and I guess the communication with no, we're not going to do that after all, got missed, and I think maybe the rambunctious marshals may have gone on their own reconnaissance, but there's no way for us to know that.
Very dangerous. I saw the onboards initially, and then today I saw a fan's view of it from the stands. It was a lot closer than it looked. I thought, wow, that was pretty close. Somebody could have got really hurt. So that was dangerous. Yep, that was my donkey of the ward as well, and that really leaves us one thing to pick. That's donkey. No, it's not donkey. It's drive the race, isn't it? It is.
You like my face?
Yes.
You like it?
You know, Checo was there this weekend, Paul.
He was. He was.
Yeah.
Bigging up his
he was.
return to Formula One
Yeah,
next
it was
year.
good.
Yeah.
I think we both picked the same young chap here for drive.
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah, we
for
picked
sure.
Ollie. How could you not?
Ollie's got to get it. Grace under pressure, young guy.
Yeah.
Team did a good job, but it'd be very easy and understandable if he lost a couple of positions in that time.
Yeah, for
but he
sure.
did not.
No, it was great. Had he had a normal midfield result or whatever, I absolutely would have handed this to Lando for sure. I think he had a fantastic race. Fantastic weekend. But, being that Ollie...
Royal monsters.
Yes, yeah. But being it was Ollie, it's his best finish ever in Formula One, and it's a Haas. It's just a great race. Couldn't be happier for him. So
Yep.
it's great. All right. Well, that's what we think about this race. But you let us know what you think about the race. You can do that by going to theparkforme.com and sharing your opinion, or you can share your opinion because we post these on YouTube. If you like to see talking heads, you can do that and leave comments there. You can leave comments on X or Instagram where we are there. A huge thank you to our Patreon supporters because we could not and would not do this podcast without you. And thank you so much for those who signed up over the last week or two. And if you are a big fan of the podcast and would like to support us, we would be very grateful for that. And you can do that by going to our website. On the right-hand side or at the bottom it says support us, and you click on that. You can support us in multiple different ways. So really appreciate that either through our merch or through Patreon or PayPal. So a huge thank you for your support. And Paul, thank you so much. 2 races on the trot, but I think you get a week off. We'll get Grace on here.
Yes.
I'm sure Grace is going to have a lot to say about her team and Papaya Rules.
Lando.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good old Lando.
Her favorite.
Yep. I'm sure she'll have a lot to say, and we'll get that. And then, Paul, you and I will be back to talk about the Brazilian Grand Prix from Interlagos at Track U Lake.
I do.
Yes.
It's good racing.
Yeah.
Great track. Historic.
Very historic. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And we will be back next week to do it all over again. So until that time, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camera, saying so long.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.